Welcome to Electric Ladyland, huh?
We're not in Kansas anymore, clearly. Mr. Ned Evett, welcome to the Alma Cafe, sir. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Yeah.
Welcome to Cape Town. Welcome to South Africa. We are so stoked to have you here. Stoked is a South African word for excited, not
like
so?
Properly excited. Yeah, very, very, very excited. Thrilled, in fact.
We're a day away from you playing here at the Alma Cafe, and we've not done a podcast in 10 months, I think. A long time. February of this year, Jono. The idea of closing out the year strong and finishing as we go on in the new year.
We're very good at starting a year. we start strong and then just laugh.
But we thought this was too good an opportunity to pass up. And again, Ned, genuinely welcome. Ned, what brings you to South Africa? First up, it's lovely to have you here, but what brought you? My understanding is it got something to do with Paul Simon, but you can elaborate.
It does actually have a lot to do with Paul Simon, but in a roundabout way. Cool. When Graceland came down the pipe and became such a phenomenon in the United States, it opened up the door for South African musicians to tour, and one of those musicians was Johnny Clegg. Johnny Clegg went from playing, I think, probably exclusively here and in Europe. They brought him over to the States. And I saw him when I was 15 opening for Robert Palmer, who was riding the Addicted to Love wave, you know. Johnny Clegg and Sukava opened up for him, and they brought the house down. He was just such a transcendent musician. So I saw that show, and I'm like, who is this guy? And that sort of led me on this, you know, along with Graceland, too, you know, really opened everybody's eyes to the wealth of talent here. My friend Adrian Belew, who produced my Treehouse record, plays on Graceland a number of tracks, and he told me that when he cut Graceland, Paul Simon hadn't recorded the lyrics yet, and so Adrian had to tell Paul Simon, hey man, I don't want to play over your vocal part. What are the lyrics? And so Paul Simon came into the control room and sang the songs
just made it up
as Adrian Belew played the guitar parts.
Oh, wow.
You know, he just hadn't gotten around to doing a rough vocal. So
I think we this is going to be one of those. I don't know if you're familiar with that YouTube channel called That Pedal Show.
No.
It's a similar kind of thing. They're two guys who just pedal amp guitar nerds in England, and they get a lot of special guests on, and they do these amazing podcasts and sort of chats. But then when they talk about friends of note, shall we call them? They have like a big honk. It's like if they sort of.
I suspect there's been a lot of honking going on this afternoon.
Yeah, something like that.
Or like dropping amazing. Someone's name of that caliber, like a bunch of bricks.
Yeah, but also well deserved. You know, these are people who are well known for all the right reasons. You know.
Oh, I agree.
Phenomenal musicians.
Well, I play fretless guitar. The reason that I play fretless guitar is I saw Adrian Belew play fretless guitar on television with King Crimson in the 80s, and he brought it out for one song, and I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do it on more than one song. I want to construct a whole song.
Was that the beginning of the whole thing?
For me, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Because you were ukulele before then. So ukulele to fretless.
Ukulele.
I mean, that's quite a journey.
Well, you know, you're 11 years old. You got to get something that's size appropriate. So you play a ukulele. And I remember picking out the guitar solo to Killer Queen on that ukulele. Like over and over and over again until my parents went, stop doing that. We'll buy you a guitar.
That's crazy.
That's lovely stuff. And I mean, that love of music and ultimately their decision making, I guess. I know you have a second string to your bow, which is the sculpting and the art side.
Yeah.
But this side, the music side, at which stage did you realize this is what you want to do? And as you say, from picking away at a ukulele and getting shouted at by mom and dad to get another tune, to really saying, this is what I want to do. I mean, it's such a wonderful transition.
Should we tell people what we're looking at? Just because, I mean, I know there's the
I think
video,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Okay,
let's hear the story.
I think people are going to be very confused.
No, we'll get to that. Hold,
you have a plan. Pete's got a plan.
Cool. I had a messianic calling at about 14. Like, I want to do this for the rest of my life, and I'm still doing it. So, yep, completely just hook, line, and sinker, 100% in. Wanted to be a guitar player, wanted to live this life, and it's brought me so much just in terms of, my life, like from the people I've met to the places I've been,
Sure.
So, yeah.
And that, again, the transition from I want to play guitar to, as you say, this fretless idea. You've talked about the guy who had such a big influence on you, who produced, I forget his name, but we'll get to it. At which stage do you say, I actually want to start manufacturing these things? Now I think we must talk about this Morningstar and this
sure.
whole
Well, I play fretless guitar, and fretless guitar is one of those things you can't just walk into a shop and buy. You have to either make one yourself, or there's a few scattered companies, Vijay being one of them, that they're going out of business. So it's a really hard instrument to find one, let alone, find someone playing it to base your sort of like technique off of. So when I started doing it, I had to make my own fretless guitar. I had to basically come up with my technique, my approach to the guitar. After a certain point, after sort of like listening to everything that was available for it. And eventually I started wearing out the fingerboards, which were made of wood, so I had to use glass, because glass does not wear out unless you chip it, of course, or break it. But so for me it's just been this long journey in not just this musical style, but the gear, the equipment, is a big part of it too.
I love that you refer to it as a calling, because it really is it because it's so sort of left of center. It does require such a single-minded focus and dedication to what it is you're doing. A decision you made 25 years ago, and you're still plowing that furrow. Yeah. Yeah,
man. It's it's one of as an instrument, it's hard. It's like pedal steel. It takes 2 years just to suck at it, and so it's a terrible gimmick. It's a terrible gimmick because it's so hard that, it's not like you can just be out there and playing in front of people with a fretless guitar or take it into a session or take it on a gig. It's hard. Yeah. And I like that aspect of it, but it's freaking hard.
I was thinking when you were saying, because you played fretted guitars and you were playing up and down and doing the thing that musicians do, and then you, if I remember correctly from reading it, you had that moment where it's like, I can't do this anymore. Like, how did your lifestyle sort of stutter from the point that you started that? What happened when you decided you were going to make this big change and like work-wise, how did you keep making money?
Well, that's the thing, man. It's like I was talking to Guitar World magazine earlier this year. They reviewed my new record, and we talked about that at length because there's nothing wrong playing music for a living. There's nothing wrong with playing cover songs and going that route. There's nothing wrong with that. You can stay busy. You can make some beer money, and you can make some real money at times with it, but I wanted to do more than that artistically. And so when I decided to get out of the sort of cover band business at 22, it was tough because the phone doesn't ring anymore. Nobody calls for, you don't get work in the same way. It's like you have to build your own network of fans, people that understand what you do. And for me, fortunately, the internet happened. So I was able to not just focus on North America, but focus on Europe and ultimately the whole world. If you have something that you love to do and it's a little weird, that's fine. There's so many human beings on the planet. They're out there. You just have to figure out who your people are. And so, that's been one of the harder aspects of it, though. Just the patience involved. So
I guess, yeah.
Tell us a bit about this Morningstar, beautiful glass guitar, fretless. We've got some photographs that we'll try and share in terms of whatever video content we put out. But tell us a bit about it, because it is. I have never seen anything like this. Have you, Jono?
I have plenty on Instagram.
See what you did there. You went straight to the social media.
So for those out in internet land, I am holding a solid glass guitar that's a fretless guitar. It's made by Alex Morningstar. His company is called Morningstar Guitars. He's in Tallahassee, Florida. And as he tells it to me, he saw me playing the fretless glass fingerboard guitars a number of years ago. And when he was trying to figure out if you could make a guitar completely from glass. So he found me, and years later, 4 or 5 years later, as the story goes, he designed this custom fretless guitar for me. It's the only one in the world. He ordinarily puts frets in them, and so they're gorgeous. They're heavy. They're 25 pounds.
Jeez.
But
That's outrageous.
that's the story on the Morningstar. So I'm very lucky to have it, and we live in such a visual age with Instagram and TikTok and all the others. So, it's been great for that. It's been really great for my online presence. And these days, that's how you get people out to shows. They see you on Instagram and they go, hey, I know that guy. I'm going to go see him at the Alma Cafe on Saturday night.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'd love to share the story from my angle on how Ned came to be sitting here with us right now, which is, being just slightly interested in guitars and the world of guitar as I am. I've been following Ned on Instagram since, I think, for the last maybe 18 months or so. I just found you last year. You popped up on my algorithm, and I was like, man, that's so wildly different and cool. And then here I was one day, like standing right over there behind the counter on my laptop, bang, in my inbox, Ned Evett. Hey man, I'm coming to Cape Town in December 2024. Like, I've heard like you got quite a nice venue. Can I come and play? And I'm like, mate, you're fucking shitting me. Like, what?
What a pleasure.
It was a real like, pinch me. Is this real? What simulation am I living in? Which kind of, I think I started believing in reality now when I saw your bus pull up outside about an hour ago. It's just like, that's so crazy. Like, to just go from cool, been watching your videos for a year and a half and going, that's so cool. And man, here we are chatting and listening to this thing and seeing that it's, there's no bullshit. It sounds exactly like it sounds, and it's just incredible.
I appreciate that. I do work really hard at it as a live artist. It's like I'm not just in the studio for months and months and months. I really believe in the power of live music. That's how you and I met, because your venue came up on a search engine and also on a Chat GPT search. And
I love that.
And we were immediately able to get a hold of you, and you were very responsive. And the internet kind of brings us all closer together in good ways and bad ways. But one of the good ways it does is musicians, like,
totally, man.
And
no, it's insane. It's insane. Like, you get to chat to. I'm just same but different. I've had conversations online with Alain Johannes, who's another he's a Dutch guitarist, but also in the very interesting. Highly recommend you go and check out Alain's stuff. Also very much just in the left of center field of guitar playing, doing things that are different. So he's a huge student of, I can't remember who the Spanish guitarist is, but he's applying that to Les Pauls and Marshalls.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, all that sort of
the flamenco
Spanish
style?
Flamenco style.
Paco de Lucia, maybe.
I'm not sure if it's it's the guy who's not Paco, not the famous guy, but the other one who Paco was.
I am the other guy.
Yeah, it's like the master of them all, who but everyone knows the famous guy, But and it's incredible that we have this opportunity, and it's that same thing with Elaine. It's like, listen, man, if you're ever coming down to Cape Town, hit me up. Like, let's do a gig.
Well, people should definitely check the show out on Saturday. This is such an amazing venue. It's right here in town. And
I tell you, we're 75% sold out.
That's great.
Which is
I'm
great.
so happy, man.
I think what you're going to find tomorrow, and I always try and sell this place. Jono says, nah, this thing's driving me to drink. It's really a hard place to be working. But let me tell you, as a patron, somebody who comes here, maybe once, twice a month, it's a very special venue, Ned, and what you'll find is it's a listening venue. People will come. They come to listen. They come to appreciate the art that's being put in front of them. And I think, the acoustics of the room as well are very particular. There's no monitors here as such. It's a very special live.
It reminds me a lot of the Old Quarter in Galveston, Texas, which was a place where Townes Van Zandt, John Prine, Guy Clark Nancy Griffith would all play. And it's very, very much about the same size, same capacity. But you can just tell that it's a place where people come to listen as opposed to talk while somebody's playing cover songs in the background. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. And it's just that a place like Alma is like an oasis in a musical desert. And that's the way I kind of think of it.
It's a treasure.
So,
it really is. Let's talk a bit about, you mentioned tone, and maybe we'll get to hear a bit of that tone again just now on the Morningstar. But it's obviously such an important thing. a sort of a unique identifier. And I know we'll talk about Satriani somewhere down the line, because I know you've been friends and collaborating with Joe for many years. But I think when I saw Dan Petlansky, who's also played, he talked about the importance of tone to his sound, to his you as a guitarist.
Well,
Jono,
I mean, I think it's the foundation of what it is we do. You know, you want to make sure that between the left hand pressing on that side of the guitar and your right hand plucking that string, that you're making that sound as good as you can.
Like Eddie Van Halen made a pretty good way.
He made an impressive record.
He sure did, man. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, he was doing gymnastics on a guitar. You know.
What were you looking for in the design of your tone and through this fretless approach?
Well, you know, when I started, I started using the glass fingerboards, the fretless glass fingerboards in 1995.
Right.
And that was a game changer. The second I played the first note on that guitar, it had a completely different sound. And then later after that, shortly, I started working with a company called Fernandez that made the sustainer pickup. So on a sustainer, like the note by itself sounds like this. That's just me. If you add in the sustainer pickup, it sounds like this.
It's almost like an ebow, eh? Beautiful.
What it is, it's an ebow that's built into the pickups of the guitar, so you don't have to hold the ebow with your hand. So you get all of the finger control of your picking hand.
But you must be one of the earliest adopters of a Sustainiac then.
Absolutely. I started doing that in 95, and I had an offer at the time to work with Ibanez guitars, but they were like, well, they didn't have the sustainer pickup, and Fernandez Guitars was a much smaller company, also a Japanese company.
Yeah.
But I went with them because they had the sustainer, and I'm glad that I did, because it's been such a bedrock of my style.
Yeah, because it makes it vocal. You talk
Reminds-
about tone, it
reminds-
sounds like someone singing.
It reminds me of Stuart Adamson's big country type of vibe.
Oh, I love that. I love that band.
I mean, John Ellis John would
he'd be
love this song.
freaking out right
mean,
now.
It's funny, in the 80s, the big country, Echo and the Bunnymen, U2, they called it the big music.
That's right.
And the Waterboys, the big music. And I just love that sound.
It's very particular, very 80s, and I mean, say, again, for me personally, seminal stuff. Like,
before my time. I was born in 1990. Ned.
but I mean, I'm
a young man.
You're
a big fan of
a
U2
classic millennial.
I loved U2.
Up to a point, and
That's incredible.
Is Ebo, right? There's a lot of Ebo in with
Really?
Yeah.
Sustain.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I never picked that.
How old were you when you started playing guitar?
I regret to say that I am a lot older than I should have been. I was only 14.
Oh, so 2000, mid 2000s then, yeah?
Yeah, to
Are you like a
basically
Muse
2004.
fan? Muse or
Massive.
Cage the Elephant maybe comes to mind? Or?
No. So my I mean, I love Muse because of the classical piano, so that was an amazing spot, and the choir boy thing. That I don't think
You were a choir boy for those who were listening.
Or Schwarzenegger says, I'm no choir boy.
But then we were chatting a little earlier just before we set up. Neil Young is a huge thing because I got a kind of a high, funny
but that's
voice.
way before your time, though.
Yeah, but my dad's a muso.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Like for me, like those early 80s bands, I didn't actually listen to them during their heyday.
Right.
I listened to them later, picking up on them. And that's one of the coolest things I think about streaming.
Okay.
In general, it's like if you want to go on a deep dive, you find a new band called Echo and the Bunnymen.
Yeah.
You can go back through their entire career and you can.
Demos are on the
There you
channel
go,
right
man.
now.
Oh, wow, really?
I mean,
That's
it's
crazy.
Like anything. It's all there, right? And that's the amazing thing.
I think in the long run, that'll be a positive of the whole streaming paradigm. Is you get it just as a research tool. You know, you can go back and listen to all the Zeppelin records. You know, just right there. So, I notice kids in their 20s these days, they love the classic rock. They love Hendrix, Sabbath.
The 90s stuff is making a huge comeback.
Yeah,
all the kids are
sure.
walking around in Nirvana shirts, like the smart ones know Soundgarden.
Yep,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say the even smarter ones know Helmet.
Helmet.
Oh, Helmet.
Now we're talking.
Helmet was famous because they got a $1 million advance.
That's right.
Oh, really?
And then they never really had a hit record, but they were a big band. Yeah.
I saw them support Ministry back in the day in Manchester. That was a hell of a gig.
Yeah.
Hell of a gig. But yeah, these are all, I mean, again, amazing. That importance of sound, the importance of tone. What struck me when listening to your new album, Strange Kind of Wonderful?
A Strange Kind of Freedom.
Strange Kind of Freedom, my apologies. Strange Kind of Freedom was the eclectic mix of songs on there. There's everything from, I don't know how to put it, there are ballads on there, there are fast, funky, there is amazing shredding going on.
Oh, thank you.
How did you go about assembling such an eclectic mix of
I was invited to teach fretless guitar at the G4 clinic, Joe Satriani's G4 Experience in Vegas in 2023.
Okay, that's another outrageously massive honk. Who are the other guys? Who are the guys on the tour?
Steve Morse, Steve Lukather, Corey Wong, Neely Brosh. It was a big list.
So for those
These
of
are your
you
Chinas.
I was going to say, for
Alex
those of you...
Skolnick was there. He was the
Mr.
tallest.
Testament.
He was the tallest one there. I'm usually the tallest guy in the room, but Alex was like looking down at me going, hey,
Who was
what's up?"
that?
Alex Skolnick from
Oh,
Testament.
jeez,
Yeah.
yes.
Great guy, amazing photographer.
Really?
Just a great
but
person.
a
great musician.
guitarist. I've
Would
loved that.
you agree, and this is something that I'm finding more and more, the kind of... The higher the level of achievement a musician has reached, the nicer a person they tend to be.
If they've gone through that process
Okay.
of figuring it all out, because
Like being a musician rather than a rock star.
there you go. That's well put. Being a good human being as opposed to just a creature of your success. I mean, I met a lot of guys at that at G4 that everybody was great. John 5, everybody was just super cool. It was so inspiring to me. This is back to your question about the album.
Yeah.
Is I was able to, after I got done with G4, I went home and I wrote 25 songs in about 10 days.
What?
And
That's amazing.
and I started. What I did for this record is I wanted every song to have a fretless riff on it. So instead of writing at the piano, I would like. I would start off with a
So
riff.
pretty.
And then once I had a number of riffs, I started to turn those riffs into songs. And that's where the whole record came out of that. Every song has a riff that drives the song. Or Lions.
The last track on the album, right?
Yep.
Have you seen any yet?
What's that?
Lions, that is. Have you seen any?
Yes, yeah. We went to the Addo. We went to the
Addo
Addo Park,
Park,
and
fantastic.
Marilyn, our guide, found the lions at the very end of the
Wonderful.
day. She was amazing.
I had to ask that question. Sorry,
Yeah,
I didn't
man.
mean to
Oh, no,
interrupt
no,
you
no
playing.
worries, no
It was
worries,
like,
no worries.
because there's a song called Lions, and I thought,
I
ask the
don't
question.
need
It's a good question.
title, better days in store. I've heard that song before. The leaders need their titles when the lions need to roar. Yeah, man.
I can't wait for tomorrow.
What's that mean?
Strange Kind of Freedom was such a fun record to write and also to record. I recorded it in L.A. with my friends Shane Galas and Pete Griffin, and they're both amazing musicians in the L.A. community. Corey Chirko mixed it. He's worked with Mutt Lange before, and Shania Twain.
There's another South African?
Yeah,
Mutt Lange?
Yeah.
And yeah. So it was a really fun record to make, and all fretless guitar. I had a chance to use the glass guitar on
Wonderful.
almost every track because I finally got used to it. It was a little bit of took some getting used to. For one, it's so heavy. 25
pounds
How many
is-
kilograms is that?
It's about 3, isn't it?
2.4 something, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's about 5.5 kilos, I'd say.
And your guitar, for example?
Well, I mean, I know a good comparison would be like a Les Paul. They say a good Les Paul is sitting in around 8 to 9 pounds.
Okay. Right.
That's like a comfortable Les Paul, and that's 3 times less heavy than that. And Les Pauls are considered heavy guitars.
So you use a strap for this?
I have a strap from a company called Cable Free Guitars.
Right.
It's called the Zero Gravity strap. That's especially made for heavy guitars, and it's a workout. So it has little neoprene bumps on the underside. It's super wide. I couldn't do it without it. I could not play this guitar with a regular strap. I'd be, my right shoulder would be toast after 7 gigs. I tour, so like this Satch Vi tour is 2 months.
Is that's just in the States, or are you guys heading to Europe as well? Oh, it's a European tour.
Yeah. I'm not
starting in York, if I understand.
York?
Have you been to York before?
I have. I've
beautiful,
been to Harrogate and Leeds.
Stunning.
I've
No,
been
those
up
are
there,
wonderful
the
places.
North.
They're not up north,
Shout out for Harrogate, actually. A friend of mine, I learned about that town for the first time in my life last week.
Harrogate's dead posh, eh?
Harrogate.
Oh, okay.
Dead posh.
No, a friend of mine's living there now.
Alan Holdsworth is from there.
Of course, yeah.
And so is John McLaughlin. So it must be
Can we talk about John McLaughlin? Because I may or may not have seen a video where you were sitting in a room with that man. That is outrageous.
Yeah, that was last year. I had a chance to sit with John for about an hour, show him the glass guitar. He had a chance to play it,
and he actually managed a bit, huh?
Yeah, he did. I mean, he's John McLaughlin.
Yeah.
So like he was able to get the concept. John has deep roots in Indian music, so he immediately understood the sort of Sarod connection with.
Yeah,
sitar almost type of
right.
vibe,
That style of playing. So yeah, that was amazing. I had met Sting the night before.
Honk.
Another honk.
Big honk.
Sting was in town to see John.
So many honks.
And it's interesting the way. Yeah,
but I think John. To me, of all the guys, because obviously reading up, like you've gotten to hang out with kind of a who's list of guitarists. Let's be honest. John McLaughlin is a different breed. Like, he's a different human being, right?
Yes.
Here's a guy who played on Bitches Brew.
Yes.
Right? But equally, what he's doing these days is sitting in with Indian classical musicians who only have 5,000 years of history, and he's sitting in and managing to keep up with those guys.
Schottky.
Yeah. It's wild what that man's doing,
He's still, from what I understand, he's still, practices 4 to 5 hours a day, even though officially he's retired, but he still plays 4 to 5 hours a day in lotus position and meditates. And
he's a real one, man. Yeah. That to me, when I saw that, I was like, this is definitely out of the ordinary. I think we can very easily say that what you've brought us here in little Cape Town, South Africa, is very much out of the ordinary and a once in a lifetime.
Talking about out of the ordinary, I have to ask you. I went through some of your back catalogue, including the new album, and there's some classic titles on there. And I want to ask you a couple of questions, a few questions.
Bring it.
San Francisco ruined me. What on earth happened in San Francisco? It sounded like such an upbeat start to the song. Tell us more.
Doesn't it though? Yeah, I moved to San Francisco in the early '90s. I grew up in a small town, moved there in my mid-20s. And it was brutal. It was super expensive.
Sure.
And so I had to survive. So for 5 years, I struggled and didn't really make much progress as a musician. And I wound up moving to LA, and it was a much better fit for me. And I've released my first record down there. But San Francisco Ruined Me was a song about how tough it was for me to kind of survive in San Francisco. Like the .com boom was happening, everything was so expensive, and I was not used to that level of.
Lucasfilm had probably bought up half of the urban real estate already back then as well.
Yeah, that all kind of started back then, but.
So San Francisco. Hopefully you've adapted.
Have you been
now?
back? Yeah, I was going to say, have you been back subsequently and befriended it again?
Oh yeah, and I met Joe Satriani in San Francisco. So those years were like one of those things where. Struggle is not such a bad thing. It does make you specialize. It makes you get better. So.
Sorry, you mentioned Alex from Testament. The whole Bay Area thrash scene coming out of San Francisco, which was such a big thing. As you say, those guys really they came from nowhere and slayed.
Oh yeah.
Be a good breaker upper. Be a good breaker-upper.
Be a good breaker-upper in your town. Be a good breaker-upper in your town. When you take another lover, be careful what you cover. Be a good breaker-upper in your town.
I hope you're taking notes here for your
I
next
don't
album.
intend to break up with anyone ever again. I'm sort of
Lovely
thank
stuff.
you.
For anyone that's grown up that's dated in a small town, that song is written for them.
That's
Perfect.
Cape Town.
Parts of Cape Town for sure.
Yeah.
And then my absolute favorite, Ned, the Nantucket Sleigh Ride. Now, is this your Christmas song?
You know, it's so funny because everybody thinks it's a Christmas song. Nantucket Sleigh Ride is a term for in whaling in the 19th century.
Right, okay.
When they would drive a harpoon into the whale would get pissed off and it would take off. It would
On
dive.
its own sleigh ride.
And they had a cable so it would pull the skiff with the sailors behind it.
Jeez.
And then they would ride it out until it got tired. And
Just
then
hope it doesn't go too deep, huh?
There you go.
Yeah.
Fascinating. So that's what it's.
Yeah.
So those are three that I had to ask you
But
about.
of course, it's a metaphor for a relationship.
What?
She took my heart on a Nantucket sleigh ride. Oh, what a tale she could tell. She took my heart on a Nantucket sleigh ride. The truth I ain't feeling too well.
Oh, that's a nice
The
quote.
truth I ain't feeling too well. Yeah, man. So
Beautiful.
It's a
Beautiful.
sea shanty.
I love your little vibrato on that slide every time. It's just, it's such a beautiful touch.
Yeah, I came up with the slide capo on the fretless guitar when I was touring with Leon Russell, his last U.S. tour right before he passed away. And I needed something to play in a particular key. I think it was F.
Oh, yeah. Not, I mean, even on a fretted guitar,
Yeah,
F
the
sucks.
Freddie, as we all know, guitar players, F's like serious
We
business, right?
Don't love it, yeah.
So I came up,
That's true.
I took one of those capos that nobody likes, those old Dunlop
Oh, yes,
elastic
yes.
capos, and I put it right through the middle of a slide, and it clamps right to the back of the fretless. It's just a wonderful little thing that I started doing now. I can't play without it. It's
Beautiful.
It's fucking so cool. It's like I'm looking at this going, I want to try that, but also I don't want to just hate myself because it just like that just looks so hard.
It's kind of like sitting down in front of a pedal steel for the first time.
Yeah, and just
or,
going...
Or if they give you a chance to fly a commercial airplane. It's
Yeah.
just like, what do I do?
Or a drum kit. I mean, I really
Yeah,
suck at
sure.
drums as well, you know.
Me too. I'm a terrible drummer.
Yeah, I think I got rhythm because drummers like me, but like put me on that instrument and I just can't do it.
Oh, yeah.
It's
It's
like-
a whole different kettle of fish.
Totally.
I noticed a lot of guitar players being terrible drummers.
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of drummers being actually pretty decent guitar players, but not the other way around.
No.
Charlie Benante, Mr. Anthrax. He's a superb guitarist.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Another question from the album, if I may, Ned. Your co-singer on Colors of the Road.
Oh, Heidi Farmer.
Whoa, what a voice! That
Oh,
was
she's
absolutely
amazing.
beautiful. I mean, truly
Yeah.
beautiful. Tell us a bit about Heidi.
Heidi and I were in a band called Yellowwood Junction in San Francisco during that era. Tim Westergren was the keyboard player. Tim's the guy that started Pandora. He's one of the founders of Pandora, which is the first internet streaming
Streaming, yes, of course,
algorithmically
okay.
driven platform. So we all played in a band together, did a lot. We started to do reunion shows in the Bay Area with Yellowwood, and I asked her to play on my new record. She just hit it out of the park.
No, it's
So-
it's
That's
instant.
so
It's
sweet.
really
Going
beautiful.
back so
She'll
far,
be
I
so
love
happy
that.
to hear that.
No, genuine. Like it's always nice when you hear a beautiful duet, and that comes across in such a beautiful way. You've been touring South Africa. Let's just take a step back in terms of. I think this is towards the back end of your journey with us. But tell us a bit about what you've seen, where you've been, and how you've been received in the different venues. And you've already alluded to the fact that you picked very particular sort of venues, places that you wanted to come, smaller venues, etc. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, I think one of the best ways to be introduced to a new country, and this is my first time here, is to kind of see it on the pub end. I did this in England. For years, I played in the pubs in England because I love traveling. And eventually, I was able to leverage that into playing and opening up for some bigger guitar acts. I opened up for Joe Satriani in England in 2002. So, and I thought I would do the same thing here. It's like I found a local musician named Roy Shumby in Johannesburg who's a drummer, and he reached out to a few agent friends of his, and they put together as many gigs as they could in Johannesburg, and that's sort of the backbone of the tour. And then I reached out on my own, and I got a gig in Port Elizabeth, and I got the gig here. So, and I wanted to have some time off for Christmas in Cape Town because I've just heard so many great things about Cape Town. So the reaction has been great. For one, when you come in like that, you really hear from the citizens of the country what's going on in the country right then. There's no filter. Like when you play bigger venues for a bigger artist, you don't get as much of that.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
more
but
of the sanitized version, if you like.
Yeah, you know, that's
just the people who are a bit removed.
Yeah, well, maybe your dad will have some very clear perspectives on where the country's at tomorrow.
I can just see Pete having a look at me going, Jono.
The guitar reaction has been amazing because people have never seen a fretless guitar, let alone a 25-pound one that's made of glass. It's being play. A lot of people expect fretless guitar to play avant-garde jazz and things like that. It's not unknown in that realm, but to hear it played in a rock and a pop context is unusual to people. So, and just to see it done live, and I've been doing it for so long and working so hard at it, they get the benefit of that experience. So, yeah, my South African band, the Randlords.
Oh, excellent!
They are just amazing.
I love that.
Roy, Justin Kidson on the bass, and Bongani and Kuta on the keyboards. They play together up in Johannesburg.
Wonderful.
And they're proper musos. They've got great ears. They took my new record. They took Strange Kind of Freedom. They learned it. So when I showed up, we had one rehearsal, and then we started right into the gigs.
Brilliant.
Oh, amazing, yeah.
And so it couldn't have gone better for that.
Yeah.
So.
And did you find, so I'm going to ask a musician's question here, did you find there was any sort of local groove that you were picking up in what those guys were putting down, or did it feel like they'd just gone in as pure session heads putting down what you had on the record, or did they bring any of our kind of quite, especially from the northern parts of South Africa, a very particular kind of groove and swing to things? Did you experience that?
With Bongani, the keyboard player, he grew up in he's African, so he grew up playing in church, and so he has the most amazing ears. I grew up my mom was an opera singer, and we listened to a lot of classical music growing up. So I too have that kind of ear that's like Bach driven.
Okay.
And so I immediately connected with him. I haven't had a chance to play with Cape Town musicians yet, so I don't really know the difference in the feel. But as a solo artist, I do give people my records, and I expect them to learn the songs.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that's the most important thing. You don't want to go too far afield because you don't have very much time. You have one or two rehearsals, and then you got to get right on stage. So.
And let's have it right. I mean, you at the top of your game. You've got to whoever's playing with you has got to be up to that pace, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the. I like to. I'm not much of a taskmaster.
Sure.
But I do like I like people to put their own personalities into it and use their own, and that's always fun to me. Like Roy's a fantastic drummer, just really great feel. I'm really happy with the South African dudes.
Talking of South African musicians, so Jono, for Ned in his time here, who are the people who, if he hasn't yet listened to or heard of, who should he be looking out for and listening out for? And what Spotify list can we send him? Let me start.
So, I mean, the first thing that I think I would want to say is, remember the whole blues rock thing? Because I'm sure you're going to say Albert Frost and Basson.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course I was.
Right. And it's like, there's a lot to be... Look, Albert, I think, stands out because Albert brings an African element into what is blues rock. So that would be worth checking out. And as it so happens, he's playing out in Noordhoek tonight at a venue called Café Rue, which I would highly recommend you check out next time.
Okay.
He's playing with a trio, three of the best Cape Town musicians with Skulk and Jono. Yeah, I'm considering going out there tonight just because they're my buds. But Albert's really gone down the track of learning to play guitar in the African blues style, from
Really?
West Africa all the way down to like local Zulu guitar stylings. He's really gotten into that, and it's a whole groove-based thing. So then he plays with a jazz drummer and a bass player who just can play kind of anything.
Doesn't he have a fretless?
Skulk, he does, yeah. Fretless bass is not so weird, though.
I know.
That's the whole.
I just tried to make a very bad link.
But yeah, so I think Albert is an artist that's worth checking out.
Cool.
Because
I will.
he's gone a little beyond just the standard, like, you know, I can play guitar on a Strat fast at high volume a la Stevie Ray Vaughan. Like, he's not doing the Stevie Ray Vaughan thing.
Okay.
We have a couple of guitarists around who just doing the Stevie Ray Vaughan thing, and it's like, come on, man. Like, John Mayer did it better and then also stopped. So, like, please go find your own voice. I mean, in Cape Town, like, you want to be checking out the jazz scene, man. That's what we're known for.
It seems massive here.
It's huge, absolutely huge, and there are just the most phenomenal jazz musicians around.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say John's worth a punt.
Mr. Ellis, and
Yeah.
and how about Guy Buttery?
Oh, absolutely, Guy Buttery, you'd love. He's a
Guy Buttery.
steel string fingerstyle virtuoso from
really?
from like the
KZN's.
well, literally like the jungles of KZN. He's a madman. He lives in a treehouse on a farm in KZN, like rural KZN.
One of those.
Yeah.
Well, I have a week off here
Yeah.
for Christmas, and I can't wait. Hopefully, some of these people are performing. I know that everybody's kind of in for the holidays, but
Yeah. Look,
Yeah.
Guy has just released an album, I think he's busy finishing off an album that he's done with a whole orchestra.
Oh wow, that looks.
Yeah, he's orchestrated a whole bunch of his music.
that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's super cool.
We'll send you a bit of a list of
Yeah.
things that we think are
Thank you.
interesting and cool.
That's great, guys. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Check out my shit as well. I mean, I write songs.
that was a given.
I swear it's these pickups, man.
It's just... No, that's an enormously big sound. And is this guitar... So for the record,
Okay.
we're now onto the cutest little thing in the world. This is a Brian May
This
signature looking thing.
This is a Brian May mini guitar. So it's a travel guitar. Ordinarily, it has one pickup in the bridge. It's a Burns trisonic pickup. So I got one from them, and then I added, with my friend Joel Morrison in San Pedro, California, we added in a second Burns pickup and a toggle switch. And it has been so much fun, and I cannot believe how big it sounds for a little tiny guitar. Yeah.
That's crazy. I love it, man.
So I'm really happy with it. I made this guitar so I
that-
would have a fretless guitar that I could take as carry-on luggage. So it's
So
worked out
that
great for
amp
that.
was just making this table move.
Oh, good deal, man.
There was so much bottom end coming out of that thing. It was huge.
For people coming tomorrow night, I have 3 fretless guitars with me. I've got the Morningstar, all glass. I've got the Brian May, and I've got my Ibanez Null guitar, which is a prestige model with a roasted maple neck and a purple glass fingerboard. So
Cool.
And so I like to travel with at least 2 guitars, but this trip I'm taking 3. And for Satch Vi this summer, I'll take 4.
Okay.
So
How do you tackle a gig like that where you've got, I guess, half an hour to impress?
45 minutes.
45. Wow, that's awesome. So what are you going to do for 45-minute set? How do you put together a sort of best of and a...
You know, it's kind of similar to how I'm going to approach Saturday night here at the cafe. You pick your best songs. You have a window. Like right now, I feel like these 10 songs are the best songs I could play.
Gotcha.
And fortunately for me, I have a new record, and I'm really enjoying playing all the new tunes. So the Satch Vi tour, tonight's going to be mostly songs off my Strange Kind of Freedom record. and they're just fun to play on fretless guitar. I wrote them specifically for fretless guitar. The riffs all make sense. You know, I have a slide. It's the first record I've done with the slide capo being involved on every song. So everything has just come together really great for me. So this tour is going to be pretty easy with Joe and Steve for that. I know what songs I'll be playing roughly. How I lay them out end to end, that's where the fun is.
Yeah.
You know, like what do you start with? What do you bring it
How
down?
do you catch people's attention?
There you go.
Yeah, it's not the easiest gig in the world.
The entertaining game, right? That's how do you make it
Yeah, you know, it is
entertaining?
entertainment. So it's a visual world we live in. People hear with their eyes, and fortunately for me, I've got a glittering glass guitar that kind of looks like something different. So
And you're going to have a lot of guitar geeks there enjoying every minute
Oh,
of
yeah,
it, right,
man.
in the crowd. I mean, these people have come to see
they're
quality
very
and-
demanding. You know, they demand your best.
Yeah.
You know, Joe and Steve have delivered their best to these audiences
my
for
God.
30 years.
Yeah.
So to be part of that tradition, like where everybody is expecting you to be out of this world, that just makes you better. So.
I think the other thing I'd like to mention, and it's been so apparent just in the little excerpts of songs you've been singing for us here, your voice, man, you can sing.
Well, thank you very much. My
Like-
mother would be happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Is she your
I mean,
biggest
I-
critic?
She was my
she's
mother.
an
My
opera
mother's
singer.
passed away, but she was an opera singer, and she was one of those parents that, you know, she was oddly competitive with it, like even with her kids, I think to a certain extent, because she was so good.
Yeah.
One of those, like you're always kind of striving for their approval,
Yeah.
which is
Okay.
another thing that will keep you going in this world. Like
That's
if you're,
true.
you know, but you know,
Me trying to convince my dad something sounds good.
there you go, bro.
Yeah,
You'd be surprised. There's
Oh,
a
man.
few times he said he's enjoying what's going on.
That's true, but then there are other times where he's like, Led Zeppelin's just a garage band and I want to fucking kick him, you know?
Those must be good arguments.
Occasionally they're funny, but sometimes I'm just like, Dad, you like the Rolling Stones. You've got this the wrong way around.
My dad was an English professor, so I got the words from
Wow.
my dad, and I
Okay.
got the melody thing, the singing thing from my mom.
yeah.
So
And
between
then you
know,
invented the guitar thing.
and then I sort of invented the fretless guitar thing. So
That's so cool.
Apart from that, there's nothing going on at the Evett family.
No, that's really special. Because, it's just that thing of also just, you know, it doesn't even seem like an effort for you to just play a little bit, sing a little bit, and it's like, it's
a joy.
That is a guitarist and a singer and a songwriter just right in there
Thank
with
you, John.
no question. You know, it's
Thank
just
you.
like, bam, there's
You
that
know what?
thing.
Another thing about songwriting too, it's like you should be able to break a song down, just the guitar and the vocal.
100%.
And you know, like I was in a bar the other night, and there was a guy playing with tracks, and his track machine melted down.
Could he continue?
He had to stop. I don't have a track machine, but I have a tabla generator. Sounds
Those are
like
cool.
this. I use it on a couple of my songs live when I don't have a band, and the battery ran out on it.
Okay.
So same thing. I just turned it off, and I just started playing the song without it.
just rip,
And a
yeah.
good song, you can break it down to just the chords in the song, and it'll get you through. So
Well, this is the thing. I think so many people, especially, and no offense, but I think guitarists forget that what do people actually listen to? They listen to a melody and they listen to words. They're not listening to how brilliantly you can play the guitar. The fact that nerds like me exist and Pete who listen to the guitar as well, you know, that's what we do it for because it's fun. But at the end of the day, the song is the melody and the words, right?
Love me
or
do.
the melody without like David Gilmour, when you can sing those Pink Floyd solos, you can
Gee,
sing
there's
them
another
like
good call.
he plays like a singer.
Yeah.
Joe Satriani and Steve Vai, you know, people go back to see them year in and year out
Yeah.
because of the songs,
Totally.
because of the music they've written, and their technical prowess, of course, as well. However, they play so far behind the beat when they're playing those melodies. It's exactly like listening to a fantastic vocalist.
Yeah.
And then
That's fascinating.
Then as soon as they're done doing that, then they have to shift into the
Like pyrotechnics.
pyrotechnics, and that's one of the quality of both those guys. is
Yeah.
insane.
I have to share this with you. I mean, I think it was 1988. I'd been across here to South Africa to see my family. At that stage, we were still living in the UK. And in
Jono wasn't yet born.
Jono was still, you know,
Twinkle.
being thought about. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
And the Martin sitting across.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, at all. And by the time I got back, all my friends had sort of found heavy metal. And when I say
okay.
heavy metal, heavy metal like Def Leppard, which is or isn't heavy metal according to. But then there was this album, Not of This Earth.
Oh, okay, cool.
And it was like, I remember sitting listening, lights off, volume
awesome.
up, and
Who's
Not of This
who's
Earth.
that?
Joe Satriani's
that
first
Satch?
album.
That's his first record.
And
Okay.
it is
That's the first record of his I heard as well.
absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, it was probably one of the more simplistic. I mean, brilliant piece of art. But in terms of how what would come down the line, beautiful album. And I'd say just that.
He
So
made
many years ago, what an absolute stellar guy
He
is.
made that on his credit card.
Can you
Oh,
believe it?
really?
Yeah, he said he had just played with Greg Kinn, so he had gotten himself on a path to his career. But then all these credit card companies were sending him offers because he had just paid off his credit cards, and so he goes, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to invest in myself, and I'm going to record a record.
Damn.
That's the first record he made with John Cuneberty, his longtime producer.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's like, you make your own luck in this world. I mean, there's no better example of that than Joe and Steve too, working, transcribing music for Frank Zappa.
Well, Steve's story is
school,
just crazy.
These are I mean, what an amazing opportunity! And I say it's not the first collaboration with these guys. You must be looking forward to June then, yeah.
I am. I think I've never been around when I first met Steve Vai, I was with Joe, so I met them together, and they kind of have that thing with the Beatles. Like, you meet one of them on their own, great, but you see both of them at the same time. They kind of have that combined sort of hovering sort of thing, like meeting the Beatles or something, when all the Beatles are together.
Do you think it's also because they've been like bros forever? Like
think
they've been
that's part of
buddies
it.
since the 70s, right? They've been hanging out for 50 years playing guitars.
They're super comfortable around one another, but I think they're that thing, that
like
X factor that they have,
Yeah.
It's almost a different level. Before we start to wind up,
Well, I have one more big question.
okay. Well, get in line.
Okay.
Tell us a bit about the collaboration with the animation with Joe that you're doing, because it's not just the music. There's some other.
Yeah, I got into animation as a touring musician because I was, I needed something to do during the day, so I started to do stop animation
That's
on
so
the
cool.
road. And Joe saw one of my little films called Roadbot, and he had me do a full-on Roadbot video for Sony for his song "I Just Want to Rock." That was in 2008. So I did that for him and Sony, and I just kept going. And then eventually he and I did another music video for him in 2013 called Lies and Truths. And we worked with Metalocalypse creator Brendan Small. He helped us out on that a little bit. And Brendan Small said, guys, this is a really good music video, but you should keep going. And so we did. We kept going. We collaborated on a number of stories, one of which is Crystal Planet, which is a graphic comic book series that we put out
Amazing.
in 2020. So Joe and I have this full-on sort of side hustle, if you will, for animation.
Amazing.
We have a new book out called Bigfoot and Bunyip that's about cryptid monsters fighting all over the world. That's on Amazon. And so that's a whole different side hustle.
Jeez.
Thanks for sharing that. I thought it'd be
That's
a nice
very cool.
way to wrap that. From your side, sir.
Well, it's another guitar question, isn't it?
Shoot.
Derek Trucks.
Yeah. say no more, as they say.
Sorry.
Derek Trucks is, for me, I saw him when he was 13
Yeah, he's
in
like an
Telluride,
alien.
Colorado, playing in a club. And, he was good. Then I saw him 2 years later at the Warfield in San Francisco, and he was really good. And then at some point in his 20s, he became a god.
Yeah.
He became beyond great. And he really has stayed there. This is a guy that plays through a guitar straight into a Fender Deluxe.
Yeah.
Doesn't need anything else to make his sound. And his music is very deep. It's also, as I understand it, it's quite influenced by indie music, as am I. And he has such a vocal quality. And he's the guitar player of his generation. I don't care what people say.
I would agree with that. I think it's one of the reasons I've just enjoyed this as much as I have, which is always when you find a guitar player come out and just take the instrument somewhere else, go somewhere different with it, do something else with it, make it say something fresh. And I mean, here we are looking at a glass-necked Brian May guitar. I mean, that's just the most beautiful confluence of of where you come from. You know, that's the coolest thing. And it's unlike anything. It's beautiful. It sounds amazing. You play the hell out of it. And
well, we'll see tomorrow night. We'll see. We're going to see the, you know. Let's
bring it on, man.
I've been watching him for a year and a half. I know this man can play. I can't wait. I think what I
like
need
a
to.
little pressure.
I just need to get some stuff, so I'm not bloody stuck washing dishes.
Well, you know, you've always got mates you can call on.
I think I'm
But
gonna
they come
have
at
to.
double the rate.
Yeah.
Have the girl, she needed her car jumped. Bring her.
The French girl from next door. Yeah. Gee.
Ned, I think that's a great way to wrap this up. And just from my side, I want to say thank you so much for taking an afternoon of your time in the beautiful Cape Town, and one of the most beautiful afternoons. And here we are sitting, recording a conversation. But genuinely, have a lovely evening tomorrow, and we're really looking forward to seeing you and
so
hosting.
much.
I'm sure Jono is looking forward to hosting you, and you're going to get to meet the dad and mom of the Tate family. That's always an absolute crowd
The
pleaser.
Tate Martin Mafia.
That's it. That's it. The Martin Mafia.
Mafia.
There we go.
Tate Martin Mafia.
There's a t-shirt.
Please, like
There's
when
a
you meet
t-shirt
my
in
dad, please say something.
Can I say that on the mic?
Oh, 100%.
Definitely.
Good deal.
Definitely.
Consider it said.
I don't know how many of the crowd are going to get it, but I think my dad's going to die laughing behind the desk.
Oh, that's great.
I think just one more favor. Can you please play us out and some of that beautiful stuff?
Let me play a little song I like to call Mississippi Ganges, everybody. Song about Charles Mingus. Mississippi Ganges, everyone.
Hoppa! Well played.
Epic.
Thank you, Ned. Fantastic.
All right, bros.
Thank you, sir.
Oh,
Really
Pete,
appreciate it.
Jono.
People that bring good news. People are wise. They see right through your lies. Win or lose. People that bring good news. People that bring good news. Oh, people that bring good news. The truth to you. Oh, people that bring good news. People that bring good news. Oh, people that bring good news. Bringing the truth to you. Oh, people that bring good news. La 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 la. La la. La 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 la.
Thank you so much, everybody. That song's off my new record. It's called Good News. It's about playing live music for incredible audiences like tonight here at the Alma Cafe.